Gentlemen, awesome to be back with you on MGTOW Money. Today's topic, a MGTOW and his girlfriend. Before we get to that, thank you to the ongoing support from the Patreon investors. Welcome, Guitar Gangsta, to the MGTOW Money Army. Men, see the video description today. Become a Patreon supporter of this channel. And Patreon supporters, keep sending in your questions, the things that are keeping you up at night on finance, etc. Let's get on to today's topic. This is from frequent commenter Lone Wolf, one of the Patreon supporters out there, and he had an outstanding comment regarding a situation he is dealing with. Again, I'm paraphrasing, of course. He is not a monk, as he said. He is a MGTOW. He is not a monk, and he has a female friend, a longtime friend, and I'm going to describe her as a FWB, a friend with benefits. And Mr. Lone Wolf is planning a trip. He would like a companion, and he believes that she would be a good companion. However, in this situation, surprise, surprise, he is going to have to pay for everything. Now, he made it very clear this would have no negative impact on him whatsoever from a financial standpoint. So the bottom line is, yes or no, as he said to me, should I take her? So men, what would you suggest? What would you tell him? Yes or no, should he take her or not? Now, before I give you my answer, I want to give some explanation about my answer. Back in 2006, obviously years ago, this was also years after my divorce. I'm the swinging bachelor, if you will, working that typical office job, doing my thing, earning a decent living, etc. I lived for my vacations. Specifically, about 3 times a year, I would take international trips somewhere, nearly always internationally. I'm talking about outside the United States. And that time was precious to me. That was golden time for me to recharge my batteries. On one of those trips, I too was in a similar situation. I chose to bring along one of my FWBs. Now, hear me closely what I just said. I chose to bring one of my FWBs along with I went on a private tour of China, had a driver, a guide, etc., went around for a while, Beijing, Shanghai, etc. Here's the question. Now, as I reflect back, do I regret it? Do I think, man, that was a really stupid idea? The answer is no. I think it was actually an excellent idea. Actually, I'm very, very pleased with it because at that particular time, I wanted a companion when I traveled. And although it did, yes, cost me an extra thousands of dollars, USD, that's fine. I had the money. Frankly, it wasn't that big of a deal. This woman was acting as, here's the key phrase, men, a service provider. Naturally, when you're choosing a service provider, and there again, there's a choice, you're choosing what you want on the terms you want. So let me throw out a question for you. What if starting now, you men considered all the women that you encountered as simply service providers? Just like you might choose a barber, just like you might choose a plumber, an auto mechanic, whatever in terms of a service provider you're looking to choose. What if you decided that all the women that you came into contact with were strictly there on your terms? In other words, you choose to engage women on your specific terms if you want to engage with them at all. This is not a to go monk or not to go monk question. As a matter of fact, from my own background for years, the vast majority of my life, I have chosen, whether it be by default or otherwise, to go monk. And that's just typically how I like it. However, I don't begrudge any man for choosing an alternative lifestyle, to be frank with you. Imagine, men, instead the reality where you're making the choice 100% of the time, where it's fully empowering to you how you choose to interact with women. So let me give you a few practical strategies that I think that might work, as well as you'll see how these will tie in with money in just a second. Now, by the way, I will include a link to a video that I did several videos ago where I spoke about this in other details. All right, 1, enjoying women is great on your terms. Your rules, your timing, your boundaries. This is the opposite. This is the direct contrast to the typical cucks, the typical PUAs, where they're groveling, where they're chasing women, etc. No, men, this is about you making your choice if you want to deal with them at all or not. 2, you need to be careful if you do choose to engage with women regarding your emotions. Again, I'm speaking from my personal experience as well as my observations of many, many other men. This is especially difficult for men that are, let's say, under 35 or 40, although I've seen it even get higher up in age. My point being, you don't want to be love drunk. You don't want to be seduced, if you will, by the love drug that just does biochemicals that affect your mind and that type of thing. You've got to keep some degree of, if you will, an emotional distance from your service providers. If your service provider is not giving you what you're expecting, obviously, maybe it's time to move on. And I know sometimes it's going to be difficult. It's especially hard if you're emotionally tied up. But again, you're going to keep an arm's distance from them. Next, don't be a white knight for women financially. I cannot emphasize this enough. This channel is all about money. And I've seen this throughout my life. I certainly have been more than guilty of it. Any money given to a woman is a gift. There are no loans to women. Any money you give a woman, it's a gift, it's gone. Furthermore, any idea that you might have that she's going to somehow reciprocate later, whether it be a month, 2 months, a year later, etc., that she's going to do something for you, that she feels some sort of obligation to you because you loaned her money, etc. Forget it. It's not going to happen. So again, thinking about to the idea of the service provider, if you're handing over money to a woman, either A, you need to consider it like money to charity, or B, you need to be getting something from it immediately. And I mean immediately, because the longer it goes, the less likely you're going to get anything for your money. All right, a quick summary, men. Women are fine as service providers. They're outstanding service providers. You want to have your house cleaned? Hire a woman. And there are billions with a B of service providers out there who will definitely, I'm putting this in quotes, work for you. 2, you need to keep your emotions in check. You got to be a little bit like Spock. Again, keeping that emotional distance. You're not going to be love bombed. You're going to be just sort of, you're going to have that idea of abundance, the abundance mentality, and go on to the next one. Next, all the money you give women, it's gone, men. If you give money to women, you need to be expecting something explicit to come back to you. And I'll let you decide what you get from them in terms of coming back to you, because of course that could be a myriad of different things if you choose to engage with them at all. Men, hit the like button if you found this useful. As always, John Galt out.